Hello, Formula One fans all around the globe. Thank you for watching the program. Welcome to Paddock Headquarters. Today, I want to talk about just the fans and really give some thoughts and maybe a warning to Formula One. Now, we are on the summer break. Of course, we have a couple more weeks before we see cars on the grid racing. Let's talk about the fans and the growth of Formula One, specifically here in the United States. I know there's been growth around the world, but in the United States specifically, because of the marketing, there's a couple movie projects in the works. Clearly, Netflix's Drive to Survive has increased the eyeballs on the sport, and it's all been great. I've enjoyed growing with the sport, watching all of the new fans come to the sport, meeting new people who are interested. I just love it. Now, I would not consider myself a legacy fan. The legacy fans, you've been raised on Formula One. You're going to die on Formula One. You're not going anywhere. You're going to be with the series, good, bad, or indifferent. But for all of these new fans that have come to the sport, and this is where I would just give my opinions to Formula One. The biggest thing you can do, apart from putting a good product on the grid, you have to have a good product on race day. But apart from that, you have to make a connection, a personal connection with these new fans. So I think, and let me just give a compliment, because with Liberty Media and all of the teams and Formula One, these last couple of years, the output on social media and the content that has come across all social media platforms has been magnified 100-fold. There's lots of content that's being put out regularly every day for Formula One stuff on the social media. And I think that makes up for not necessarily great reporting on the sport. I think there's a vacuum in reporting, and there needs to be a lot more improvement with the reporting on Formula One. But that's a different topic. So, one of the things, after I want to say congratulations for the social media content and output, I do think there is a lot of room for much more accessibility to the drivers and the team principals. And I mean autograph sessions, meet and greets, live Zoom calls, live giveaways, press conferences. There is so much room for improvement for Formula One and the teams to make personal connections with these new fans that have come, which I think is important because you want to keep them. You don't want them to go to another series or another sport. You know, in the United States, we have IndyCar. That series is a good series, and that popularity has been increasing. You got MotoGP and some other series that people can turn to very quickly if that connection is not made. So I think it's also harder for Formula One. You have to work harder because you have less primaries. You only have 20 drivers at any given time, and you only have 10 team principals. So that's 30 in total. Now, compared to the NFL here in the United States, we have 32 football teams, professional football teams, and each team has like 54 players on it that make the roster. In addition to that, you have all the head coaches and some assistant coaches. And those athletes and the coaches throughout the season and in the off season, they are everywhere in the community doing charity events, meet and greets, sign-ups, anything you can think of. And there's a lot of them. And that helps create really a true rabid, fan base for the NFL. And I think Formula One can learn from that. Formula One can learn from, who's on top right now. It would have to be Taylor Swift. Nobody has more rabid fans than Taylor Swift. She is really good to her fans. It's incredible the community that she has built around her as one individual person. In my opinion, she's the top right now. And her concert tour is the place to be and to be seen. And Formula One should call Taylor Swift and bring her in and get some advice from her, because you hear constantly stories about Taylor Swift, how she's either interacting or surprising her fans or sticking up for her fans. And she really has created a personal connection to millions of people who have never met her. And it's just great. So I think Formula One can learn from that. And let me just say this, and then I'll wrap this video up. I really would like to hear some of your thoughts. What are some of the things Formula One can do to help create a connection with some of these newer fans? Now, Formula One, obviously, I've been to two races. I've been to the Miami race and I've been to the Canadian Grand Prix. So Miami was good. And one of the reasons why it was good for me is because there were so many events and activities outside of the stadium that you could participate in as a fan and feel like you're a part of the Formula One experience. And at the Montreal Grand Prix in Canada, that wasn't necessarily the case. They had a great street festival, but it was hampered by rain a little bit. So you didn't get the full experience for the full time period. But also the casino that they have there in Montreal, the workers went on strike. It was a timed strike during the Formula One season, and I think, or during the Formula One race. So if you went to the casino, which I did, there was no live entertainment. There was no food options. You could go and gamble, but that was really it. So apart from the street festival, there wasn't a lot that you could do as a normal fan. And the street festival was good, but there wasn't a lot of other events that you can go to. Now, if you went around the city like I did, you saw a number of VIP high-end hospitality events that were hosted, but those weren't open to the normal person. And, in Miami, I did some high-end events and I did some regular, events that were on the street. I got into some good stuff in Miami. But in Montreal, that was just, I think it was lacking, and there's some room for improvement there. Now, those are individual races with individual promoters. So I really want to just focus on Formula One in general. My biggest advice to you with all of these new fans is you need to really up your game in terms of availability and accessibility with your drivers and your team principals, and figure out a way to do it. The best way you can do it, obviously, is live fan Zoom calls, fan clubs, and those sorts of things. But figure it out. Figure it out, because you want that connection so the fans stick with you through the good, the bad, and the ugly, and really become lifelong fans of Formula One. That's what I'd like to see. So let me know what you think. Just really chit-chatting during the break, a bunch of different topics. I will be back tomorrow. Paddock Headquarters out. See you tomorrow.